So if you're here, your rocker cover is probably leaking. Welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm Eric, this is Horus Works, and today I'm on my 2007 BF Falcon ute. She's a gassy. Don't knock me for that. I actually like these LPG utes. The gas is still quite cheap here in Sydney, so yeah, why wouldn't I? So anyway, I've already got the rocker cover off, and I thought I'd make this quick video about how to change these things out, what the torque settings are, how to put the gaskets in, the VCT solenoids and what you're going to have to be careful about with those, and a few little other tips and tricks. So follow along, and yeah, hopefully this video helps you out, and if it does, hit that like button. Alrighty, so let me show you what's going on here. So when you take the rocker cover off, you're going to be met with your cams and your VCT solenoids, which sit in here. If you've got an early BA or a BF even, your VCT solenoids will be screwed into place. So to take them out, you will need to take the rocker cover off. Now, if you've got an FG, you don't need to do that because the VCT solenoids just slide out. I won't go into the full details around the VCT solenoids because that's not what this video is about. But if you do want to learn everything about the differences between these VCT solenoids, check out my other video. Just explains all the little differences you might encounter from BA all the way to FG. But with that said, let's get back to it. So you will need to take a few things off, obviously, to change your rocker cover gasket. I've obviously already done that, but here's a quick short montage on how to get to this step. So obviously with the car assembled, you're going to need to take your intake piping off, which is just a couple of clamps and a couple of 10mm bolts. That should slide off. Undo your PCV valve. In my case, I also needed to obviously move the LPG gas feed line out of the way. You're going to need to remove the coil pack cover. So that's this plastic cover, a couple of hoses in the back, and you should have that cover off. You've got to disconnect these plugs in the front here. Now you won't need to remove the spark plugs, but you've got to pull the coils out. Now these plugs are probably going to break on you. If they are old and crusty like mine, they will snap. These clips will snap. So to help you out, I've made another short video up here that shows you how to replace these plugs so that these connections aren't loose when you reassemble everything. It's really short, it's very easy to do, and they're only a few dollars on eBay, so by all means, don't leave those clips broken, get them replaced. So with those clips out, now you're also going to have to remove your throttle body. So to take that off, we'll take a 5mm hex socket. There will be 4 bolts, and after you connect a couple of electric plugs, you should be able to slide this off. Just undo the rocker cover bolts. There will be 6 in the back that just pull out, and there are 2 in the front that are captured that will need to stay with the rocker cover. So once you got all of those loose and out, you simply pry on the edges of the rocker cover to break the seal loose. You lift upwards and backwards, and that's kind of it. That should take you to where I'm at. Now at this point, you're going to grab your rocker cover and obviously get all of your gaskets out of here. So I've already done it, but there will be a massive gasket that goes all the way around in this journal here. Also, you will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spark plug gaskets, and also on the front you're going to have a PCV valve grommet. I'm going to change all of those, including the seal that goes underneath the coil pack cover, this as well. Now to do all of that, you can buy a kit online, and this one I found off eBay, and it is pretty good. Sold by Australian Automotive Products. There is the part number, and it's a very good, very comprehensive kit. So you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spark plug gaskets. You're going to have the PCV valve grommet. You're going to have the 2 VCT solenoid locators as well. And you're going to have your large gasket for your rocker cover and your smaller one for the coil pack cover as well, the plastic cover that goes on the top here. So quite comprehensive, quite good. It will make sure that all my leaks are gone. And the other thing that's good about this kit is it does come with 2 brand new VCT solenoids. And the bonus, if you've got a BF like I do, you will no longer need to deal with bolting and unbolting the VCT solenoids, because these FG types do slide straight in. They don't need to be bolted in place. So again, a full comprehensive video on these in the VCT solenoid video, but basically these BF types screw in. But now with the new ones, once I've got these FG types installed, I won't need to take the rocker cover off ever again to change the solenoids, because these just slide in and out. Alright, so that is the kit. So if you've got to do this at home as well, here's a DIY video for you. Let's get to it. Okay, so first and foremost, turn this around and remove this PCV valve grommet. Just give everything a wipe, make sure there's nothing stuck in here. As easy as that. We flip this over. I'm going to put the spark plug gaskets in place. And we'll put this gasket in next. So this rocker cover is pretty much good to go. Now before we do put this rocker cover back on, just go around and check that your sealing surface is nice and smooth. So just give it one final wipe down. Right, so get all of this stuff off. There we go. Back here, you've got a few wires that will get in your way. So try to position those out of the way as much as you can so they don't get hung up. Also, over here and over here, you've got your timing chain cover joining the head. So these 2 alloys meet, and the gaskets tend to leak from there or there. So it's important to put a little bit of gasket sealant there and there, just a small dab. So 1, 2. So at this point, if you've got an early BA or a BF with the screw-in type VCT solenoids, by all means put them in and screw them down to 20 Newton meters, and then it's time to put the rocker cover on. Now before you do, just check that your connections back here won't get in the way. So move things out of the way as much as you possibly can, and time to slide it on. Okay, so at this point you may encounter this problem as well. See how that hose is getting in my way? So what I'm going to do is disconnect it here and just pull it through so that it's out of the way. So I wanted to show you that just in case you struggle with it as well. So just check your gaskets, make sure that everything is still sitting nicely. Dislocate your 2 front bolts. Make sure that everything's fine around the edges. Check your spark plug holes. Make sure that the gaskets are still in place. And yep, they look good. Everything on the sides looks good here. Before you start bolting everything down, is just make sure that at the back here, your gasket is still in place. And yep, it feels like that's sitting nicely in place. So to bolt the rocker cover down, you're going to need a T40 Torx socket. I've got my bolts here ready to go. So they go in like so. Obviously at this moment we're just doing everything finger tight, all right? And the reason we're doing that is because this gasket has to set for a little bit on both sides before you can torque everything down. So you just put everything in finger tight and then come back in an hour and then you can torque everything down. Another note is these 2 can be torqued down, but these bolts, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you need to put a little bit of thread locker on the end of these threads. So before you put them in and screw them down, make sure that you've got a little bit of thread locker on those. And sorry, what I meant was the T40 Torx is for the front 2, the rest will be 10 mils, the back 6 a 10 mil socket. Okay, so like I said, at this point, just let this sit for about an hour. Let the gasket maker on both sides cure. And in the meantime, you know, just reconnect a few of your hoses. I'm also going to take this opportunity to put my throttle body back on. So there are 4 bolts. These are hex 5mm, 1, 2, 3, and there's a 4th one just there. Now, a new gasket did come with the gasket kit. I forgot to show you that. So I'm going to take this old one off, and this surface actually looks really clean and good to go. So no prep to do there. Take my new gasket. The way I get this to sit so that it doesn't fall down basically is I put it on the throttle body itself. So take the bottom 2 bolts out. They're identical, so don't worry about which one goes where. But yeah, just feed the gasket on. Once you've got a couple of these bolts in, the throttle body should hold itself in position. So then you can take your other bolts and feed them in. So the trickiest one is this one here in the corner, but yeah, it does go in. So again, you're going to need a 5mm hex socket. So I like to get these bottom ones done first because these are the most likely ones to go wrong. And if you do the top ones first and these ones go wrong, then you're going to have to undo the top ones again. So I like to get these in first. And the torque setting for these 4 5mm hex bolts is 10 Newton meters. These bottom ones are pretty much impossible to reach, so just do your best. Just check the tension on these and try to make these 2 about the same. So at this point, we're almost ready to put the top cover back on. Just going to reconnect a few things. And your throttle position sensor as well down here. Alrighty, so right now, I'm just going to wait another 15 minutes or so to let this gasket seal, harden up a little bit, and then we're going to torque down these bolts. Now that I've let that sit for a good another 20 minutes, it's been about an hour all up since I've put on the throttle body and reconnected the hoses, etc, etc. So it's time to torque these down. Now these front 2, so 13 Newton meters for the front. Okay, and 10 Newton meters for the rear. Now, as I said earlier, if you've got an early BA or even a BF without the upgraded FG solenoids, you're going to have to install the solenoids before you put the rocker cover on. But this is a BF, and because I've got upgraded FG solenoids which work in this BF engine, all I've got to do is slide these in. So I've got my FG solenoid here, and all I've got to do is slide this in like so, into position like that. And then you just take one of the covers and fit them on, and this will hold the solenoid in place. And the second one too. Coils next. So these wires are a certain length, but it's also a good idea to just mark each one of your coils with a number, so it's fairly obvious where they go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, next we're going to install the VCT solenoid bracket bolts, and these are 7mm. Make sure you don't cross thread these, obviously. Okay, so now that those are in, give them a little torque. So I think 8 Newton meters should do it. Plug your last coil in and clips on for the VCT solenoids. Everything underneath here is done. So the final phase now really is to put on this coil plastic cover. So we've got another gasket to play with underneath here. It's got a new one, so just pull this old one out. We're going to put the new one on. Just go around and push it in. Okay, so when that's in position, there's one more thing that we've got to have to put on that cover, and it's these little things. So what these do is they sit inside that plastic rocker cover and they push down on your coils like so, so that these don't accidentally pop up and you lose spark. These are notorious for getting lost, so this is something you can do in case you lose some of these. So this is an original, see that? You see how it's a cap? So you can push that in there and it stays in place. And same with this one. And same with this one. But if you can see, these are not original. So I've got 3 that were missing. 1, 2, 3. Now what you can do if you are missing some is get a hose that's similar diameter to these plugs and just cut a length down that fits. And in fact, if your coolant return lines are long enough, so these 2 hoses, they are exactly the right diameter. So you can always just undo these and cut a little bit off and make yourself a little section if you are missing a couple of these. But yeah, I would highly recommend not leaving any of these out because they are pushing your coils down, and you want to make sure that your coils stay on your spark plugs, otherwise you're going to have ignition issues. Alright, it's time to put this on the car. So when it comes to this cover, it couldn't be simpler. Just undo your oil cap, feed this through and drop it on. Okay, so now you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bolts to put in. So here they are, they're hex 5mm bolts. I'm missing one, so I've made myself an extra. Ooh, I think I misspoke there. It's actually 8, not 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the 8th one is in a really interesting spot, way back here. But don't leave it out, because like I said, these hold the coils down, and you want the coils to be nice and snug. Okay, that's not going anywhere. Alrighty, so now it's just time to reattach a few things. For me, it's a gassy, so I've got to get my fuel supply back on. This vacuum hose back here has a spot to sit in. Plug your PCV back in. And last, you've got your intake piping. I also like to put an extra clamp just over here because I don't like how loose this gets. I don't want any vacuum leaks. And finally, this elbow. Sorted. Now, at this point, check all your connections, everything. Check all your plugs, make sure everything's nice and tight, you don't have any vacuum leaks, etc, etc. So there it is, my dudes. That's how you replace a rocker cover gasket on a Barra Falcon. And for all you LPG guys, I've shown you the extra little steps required to do that too. You got that hose running across there, and your throttle body will be a little bit different. But all in all, not a really difficult job, and hopefully this cures all of my engine leaks up top anyway. And yeah, I'll keep an eye on things over the next week, see if there's any moisture around there. If so, I'll just go through the bolts again, make sure that they're torqued down properly. Some of them may come loose with the heat cycle, but all in all, I think it should be fine. A really simple job, and if you've got this problem at home, go ahead and try this on your car. Enough chit chat from me. I'll catch you next time. Bye.